Hello there, everybody. This is a Game of Thrones podcast because... Why are we doing this? Because we get enough time between now and its starting to recap one season a week. Because there are only 8 weeks to go until Game of Thrones returns. Hello, everybody. Adam Clery here for What Culture? The What Culture Podcast Network, we're going to call it now, right?
Yeah.
Joined by Adam Wilbourn. Say hello.
Hello.
James Hunt. Say hello.
Hello.
The lesser spotted James Hunt. This is the only way we can get you on camera, isn't it? Louis with the juicy carrot of a Game of Thrones podcast. So yes, as mentioned, what we're going to be doing is going back through all the old seasons of Game of Thrones, recapping what happened, how they make us feel as people, and getting the hype train going full steam, choo-choo. Mother, can't swear on these now, can we? No, right, okay. So, this is the Season 1 review podcast. Season 1.
So long ago.
10 years since it was filmed, something like that. 9 since it was on our screens.
9 since it was filmed.
That is absurd.
Yeah.
Now, we watched it back. We watched all the cliff notes back, and we sort of brushed up on it. They all look so young, I think is the main takeaway from this.
Yeah.
And likewise, they have the innocence of children, and thus so do I, from not having foreseen the horrors I was about to witness. Now, season 1 was... I mean, let's just be a bit revisionist here. How well received was season 1? It wasn't like...
Did you two watch season 1 when it was first on?
Yeah.
James
You
did.
Yes.
Was it wasn't a big deal back in season 1, was it?
Not to the extent it is now. It was still it was getting there, and it was well received. It got good reviews. It got a bit of hype.
It was just a TV show, though, wasn't it?
It was largely just a TV show, yeah. It was around probably, I'd say maybe the Red Wedding was when it became another level of
We'll get to that in a month.
But that's for later.
It staggers me watching it back, just how different it is, in terms of the world building, in terms of the characters. I mean, no, that's part of the journey you go through with a TV show, but just how far the show has come in 7 seasons. And it's not even like a TV show which has 25 episodes a season or whatever. It's relatively short, it's consumable. Given how much source material they had to go through. What is the biggest difference for you between now and then?
I think it is the scale, the scope of, they've gone from those first 10 episodes where they had 6 million an episode, and now season 8
a mere 6 million an episode.
Season 8 they're going to be spending 15 million an episode or something. They couldn't show the battles in season 1. Now it's battles every episode.
Actually, you know a lot more about the source material than the rest of us. Were there huge battles left out of season 1 purely for financial reasons?
Not really, no. The closest we get is the Whispering Wood stuff, but that kind of plays out as it does in the book anyway. So there's not really any need for that in season 1. But obviously, as they go on, they want to show those things.
How much did we all remember from season 1? Because in theory, you've seen this, so it should be yep. But there was a few things that jumped out, and I was God, I forgot about all of that. I'd almost somehow managed to completely snip out the whole dynamic between Ned Stark and Robert Baratheon, how unwinding it. I know obviously they were loggerheads, but I always seem to remember he invited him down, then when he died, they kind of screwed him. But they were at each other's throats for pretty much the entire season.
When he became Hand of the King, it wasn't we're just good old mates, me and you, I'll just do whatever you say. He always questioned him, and then obviously all the stuff with Dany, that really sort of was the catalyst for them falling apart.
Yeah.
It was a weird recapping it again, because I watched season 1 the first time around. I watched it. I sort of blitzed, I think, about the first 5 seasons, because it was the build to season 6, and I was like, oh, I should probably watch this. It's quite popular and really, really good. So when I went back to watch it again recently, the amount of stuff that I'd completely forgotten about, like Tyrion and Bronn going through the woods and getting kidnapped by that tribe and what have you, completely forgot all about that. There's so many different little relationships and the builds to later seasons that you've arguably forgotten about, and which is why it's worth recapping this sort of thing.
Which character's the most different when you watch it back now? Is it Tyrion?
Cersei or Jaime for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Jamie's quite.
Watching it back.
How
they've changed.
Yeah, how much they've changed.
Yeah, I think just Jaime or Cersei.
Jamie's the obvious shout, I think, because he's had the. But Cersei?
Yeah, I think just her development from into the main villain or one of the main villains. I don't think that's there in season 1. She's still very much like Robert Baratheon's wife and the mother of the children. That's kind of her role. She's scheming a little bit, but she's not the main political player yet. And then the way that transitions, I think that's one of the best arcs in the show.
Wilbourn?
Yeah, I feel Jamie in the first season's arguably a little bit one-dimensional, arguably just like, he's a git.
Yeah,
and then in later seasons, he obviously, well, not just in late season, but second season, third season, and when he goes from there, you really learn that he learns as a character and then obviously changes. But initially, literally episode 1, he's just the guy who pushes a kid out of the window.
It's kind of bizarre how visually they've all changed to match their arcs because, like, as you say, he just looks like a git, doesn't he? He looks like a proper smug, like, silver spoon, I got in the in a nice part of the night because my dad's, like, really important and that. But now he looks like, even when you see, like, Nikolai Coster-Waldau getting interviewed, he looks more complex and interesting. Same with Lena Headey, the same. I mean, Tyrion now genuinely looks like somebody who's seen a lot of stuff.
He was so blonde.
I know, they were all so blonde back then, and now... So that's kind of weird. How, like, if you think about Tyrion and Jaime have moved away from being Lannisters effectively, like they've become more complex than merely just the Lannister children. Yeah. Their characters have actually, their hair colours moved away from blonde at the same time. Is that a visual cue we've all missed?
Potentially, yeah.
I just think it's quite fascinating when you watch it back because obviously over the course of 8 seasons, 7 effectively, you've got to develop these characters. But how much they do with all of them. I mean, like even Jon Snow back then is like an incredibly different character to who he is now. One thing that got me was how unimportant people like Varys and Littlefinger seem when you watch the first couple episodes. Like I know like Littlefinger's the bit with Ned, but they just become they're random background characters. They're just in a couple of scenes. You think it's Ned's story. Yeah. And obviously, which we'll get to at the end of this season, it's not. Did any of that surprise you?
Well, if you're going to be placing bets on who, after watching the first season, who do you reckon is going to be sticking around until sort of season 7? Yeah. They're not the people that you'd pick out.
Oh, you'd go Robert and Ned.
Yeah.
And they don't even make it out of season 1.
They don't even make it out. Yeah. It's... The character arcs for some people are very abrupt in certain points, and then others, who you feel are just like Littlefinger, you can tell he's got a bit of something about him. But arguably, initially, you're just like, oh, that's nice. He's been really helpful for them. And, he's helping Ned out. That's good of him. And then, obviously, there's the turn. But, it's subtlety is what I think a lot of people really enjoy about Game of Thrones, that they're not just like, this person is bad, and they will be bad throughout. And like Dany, Dany comes across as this, especially in the first couple of episodes, as this timid sister who the brother says, I'll let their entire, clan and horses sort of run train on you, and then if that gets me an army.
Run train?
That's not technically what he says, I'm fairly certain.
Is that an expression?
That's a thing. There's definitely
run train? And that means... what I think that means.
Yeah, I think so.
Run train.
Okay, we're getting off topic here. Anyway,
that's horrible.
But she comes across as that, and then obviously by the end,
I think of is pistons now. That's absolutely revolting. That's enough from you.
Okay.
Anyway,
that's enough from you. I'm kind of more interested in what you think because you watched it. Because me and him watched it like when it was already a thing, and we kind of. I wouldn't say I rushed through the first couple. I remember why I stopped. I wouldn't say I rushed through the first couple of seasons when I was watching it, but I was aware that this is like the past of the show that I wanted to watch, and I wanted to get up to date with as quickly as possible. Whereas for you, it wasn't like that. You were just consuming it as it came. When the first time you saw season 1, what did you think it was a story of? Because I know we open with the thing about White Walkers and the dragons thing comes into it towards the end. Yeah. But what did you think it was a story of when you watched it?
I think largely the focus and what you think it's going to build on is the stuff with Ned Stark and the Starks v the Lannisters and kind of expanding upon that conflict. Because I'm like watching season 1 in 2011 and you're like one other person who watched it and like had no one talk about it. I used to like have Wikipedia open, like follow who every character was. Yeah. I just didn't have a clue. And it's just like, you don't see it going where it's gone.
It is a weird start when you watch it again. I mean, we know now all the intertwining stories and the fact they're all building eventually to collide with each other. But the fact it starts and it's sort of this ice zombie, and then it's just for a couple of episodes, it's just that didn't know. It's like they forgot it happened. They're just like, and now politics. It's a surreal rewatch, but I can't imagine what it must have been like when they first started. And they're like, "What's going to happen in episode 2? I can't watch it immediately."
Do you think that's overall because it's become a huge fantasy epic now? I mean, the last scene we saw of the show was a zombie ice dragon melting a 800-foot ice wall so that an army of the undead could march into the land of the living. That is full scale. I see you twitching there because I've got the height of the wall wrong, haven't I? I can just, when you say 800 foot, I just saw his Lego. Anyway, it's like a full-scale, massive fantasy epic now. And as you say, it's just, here are some politics and a bit of incest, and oh dear, this child has fallen down. Like, is it the better for it? Do you feel like that first season is the right first season, the right tone, the right themes for what the show became, or is it jarring watching it back now?
No, I think it works. Obviously, it expands out and the world gets bigger and a lot more characters come into it, especially like season 2. It feels like almost like a first season and stuff, which is something we'll maybe come to. But yeah, I think and having like the bookend of opening with White Walkers, finishing with dragons, it's basically telling you like all this stuff's going to happen in between, but there's like the themes of like the futility of war and all these like rivalries and political machinations you have ultimately aren't going to mean that much because death is coming.
Rewatching it again, that is a real sense you get of all these people scrabbling around. I want to be on the throne. I want to have an army. And you're just like, guys, it really doesn't matter.
It does not matter.
There's bigger issues here. Was
there anything that didn't happen in season 1 that you thought happened in season 1? Because remember when I watched it back, there were a few things where I was like, where's he? Where's all this?
Yeah, in your head you placed them earlier on in the story. One thing that did happen that I thought didn't happen in season 1 was because when I first watched it, I was watching it with my girlfriend, and she'd obviously seen it a million times, and it's got one of the, when you're watching it, it's like, you've watched this before, so you can't really keep track of it. And I managed to miss, the first time I ever watched it, the entire episode where Ned gets attacked and Dany's brother gets the gold crown poured onto him. So the next...
You missed that?
Well, we went back, thankfully, because about 2 episodes later, I went, where's Dany's brother in all this? And she was like, he got killed. I was like, was that off screen? Or it's like, no, it's quite a big moment, that, with these... Yeah. So rewatching it again was nice to remember it in order this time, not having to go back near the end of the first season and going... Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That's why Ned was in chains randomly at the start of one of the episodes.
It's kind of odd, like especially when you go back to Dany's storyline, because she spent so long away from the Dothraki as she, did her own thing. It's kind of weird to see her effectively not back where it all began, like where she's getting run through like a train, as you put it.
It's a thing.
But the way they present the Dothraki in the first season is very much as like, these guys they're legit, like they could conceivably, you can see why he's gone to them to try and raise his army to go back to Westeros to reclaim his throne. But I just thought was it not a bit weird, like seeing Dany back with the Dothraki, but like Dany, little timid Dany, as opposed to like the queen.
Yeah, oh, that's nice. I've got some dragon eggs as a present. Guess they'll never hatch. Anyway, it was surreal seeing her back there. Yeah, especially like the first episode where she just is having a bath, and they're like, "Oh, careful, it's a bit hot in there." And that's this obviously alluding to stuff that comes later on. It is weird, to see her go from one of the most key characters, one of the people that we are pitching for season 8 to have, well, arguably one of the biggest roles in the conclusion of it, to take it all the way back to my brother's going to let a tribe of people.
Go on, say it. Say a new one this time. Say an even worse one.
On.
No, I'm not going to say an even worse one.
No?
Have their way.
Chuck me round like an empty tracksuit, like that. Is that what you meant to say? Yeah. James, what was your favourite little nod and wink in season 1? To like a little nod and a wink, like a little. He said, like when Dany gets in the bath, she cannot be burned. It's like, oh, she just likes hot baths. Like that's how you sort of took it in season 1.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you're like, oh, I missed that? That's quite clever.
Yeah, I think like stuff like when they find the dire wolf and it's been like killed by like the stag, and then there's like things like Ned's death and stuff like that. There's a bit when Bran and Rickon are talking after Robb and Ned have left, and Bran says, "Don't worry, like they'll be back." And Rickon, in like his only moment in the show, just goes, "No, they won't." And you're like, "Oh."
There's lots. I mean, the amount of articles we've done pulling out little Easter eggs and references here. I thought, I mean, there's 2 or 3 in season 1, but do you think the show sort of wasn't quite as self-aware of what a thing it had become in season 1? Because there's not a lot of bait in there. You know what I mean? There's not so many moments which are designed to make you sort of like, oh, what's that? Whereas like in sort of from 3 up until the present, everything they do now, they leave just open enough for people to sort of debate, because they realise like how important to the show it is to have like these fan conversations, these water cooler moments. There's not quite as many of them in season 1. It feels just more like a regular TV. I remember, I mean, I don't know whether it was you wrote it or not, but I've definitely done it in a video somewhere, the idea that Ned walks into a pigeon that flies off immediately as his head's cut off. But that's it, really. That's the only like wild theory you can take out of season 1, unless am I forgetting any?
No, Not really, no. I think that's like obviously the big one is like Jon Snow's parentage, and that's like there's little things in there like when Ned says,
"Sees him off to the wall." Yeah,
"You are my blood," which is very like clever wording, and we'll talk about your mother when we like next meet, and it's like
they might.
They might.
I mean,
when that pigeon comes back,
he might force. Can he force Ghost? Aren't Disney going to own this by this point?
Oh yeah.
Can he force Ghost in? I don't know whether this could have been written about.
When you said force Ghost, I thought you like meant his dog, and like can you make him do something?
Yeah, it's weird seeing the dogs, if nothing else.
Yeah.
How little screen time they've got lately. What I'm trying to think. What other characters do we get like a nice bit of screen time with in season 1 who we haven't seen in ages? I think Jorah Mormont feels really important. Whereas I think the more power Dany gets in the later seasons, the less he just kind of feels like he's there and he's helping out. Whereas in this one, he does feel crucial. I think. Does he feel crucial now? There's actually a lot of parallels you can draw between season 1 and season 8, isn't there? So it kind of feels like a lot of it's come full circle, especially when in regards to it. Was any particular moments you really enjoyed? What's like your favourite season 1 moment?
Well, it's not really enjoyed, but I distinctly remember watching Ned's execution. This is a weird place to start for a topic like this because, as with, I'm sure you will have had this when you're watching it not in order, not when it comes out. So you already know a few things. So when I was watching Game of Thrones, I knew there was a thing called the Red Wedding where terrible stuff happened, and every wedding that there is, I was going, oh bloody hell, it's going to be this. But Ned's thing. Even I knew Ned dies. I knew the whole thing of you have to kill Sean Bean off to make something good, effectively. And even when he's there and they're going to cut his head off, and Joffrey goes, "Cut his head off."
Cut his head off.
I went, "Nah, they're not going to do it here." Yeah. Like I distinctly remember thinking something's going to happen. Something's going to stop this. I know he's going to die eventually, but it won't be this. Yeah. And right up until the moment where you see the sword coming down, and then, as you say, the bird flying off. That's one of the real vivid memories of me going, oh, I guess he's dead now then. What were some of yours?
My favourite one's the trial by combat, the first one with the moon door.
Oh yeah,
you do not fight with honour. He did. Bron's a real low-key MVP of that season.
Yeah, he's awesome.
For me, like he's got very limited screen time, but what he does is I think is very. He's probably the one character who stayed so consistent throughout the show. Like he's never really learned anything. He's never like he even now tells Jaime like, "I'm just give me my castle and my fit wife, and I am out of here." The only time he ever even slightly flickers on that is where he's decided to take on a dragon instead of pelting it, which is, I mean, more fool him. To be honest. The moon door, that's kind of my favourite bit in the whole season. But if you go back through everything that happens, so much of it, like It didn't feel like groundwork laying at the time, but when you look at what like the moves that happen, so much of it is of very little consequence in season 1. Like, Arya starts learning to fight with a sword. Yeah, it was really boring. Like I thought the Arya stuff in season 1 was like, oh, here she goes, she's got a wooden sword. But now, like, it's so important who her character is. You guys find there was anything in season 1 that really didn't grab you at the time, but now you're so glad was part of the show?
I don't know. That's it.
It's a great question. I know it's really good. Yeah.
I suppose I think the Arya stuff's very good. Yeah, because it plays into her character. But I think that the connections between the Lannisters. You think that it's just family infighting, and then it grows and grows and grows. Even just throughout season 1, where you go, oh, they're just bickering or what have you, and then like you say, Cersei comes from being this person who you just think is a bit of a grumpy queen to actually one of the main players in the whole thing, and I think that just develops not only in season 1 but obviously in later seasons as well. But I don't know. I suppose maybe because I was rewatching it recently. You're thinking everything's going to be relevant, so you're sort of looking out for that. Whereas at the time, when you dismiss stuff, like I know I was rewatching. I think it's in season 2, possibly just in season 3. I'm just rewatching it at the moment. There's a bit with the Red Woman where she gets choked, and he says, "Well, what do you know about suffering?" And she goes, "Trust me, I've suffered a lot." And you go, at the time, you were just like, "Oh, she's just trying to say anything to stop him from choking her." Whereas you actually go, "Oh yeah, no, the necklace and the naked and the old and
Robb Stark.
Yeah.
How weird is it that he exists? Because of all the people who've died, of all the major deaths, and he was probably the biggest character they killed off in season 3. Yes. He doesn't feel to me like a huge deal in this. I can see his importance from a storyline perspective, but the way the episodes actually zone in on him does right up until the end where he gets pronounced king in the north. It doesn't feel like he's all that important. And I was expecting when I watched it back that he would be like one of the real focal points, but there's been so much time in King's Landing, so much time on Ned, so much time on Robert Baratheon, and so much time with Dany. He just kind of he fell off for me. Is that? I mean, am I alone here?
Not entirely. I think I really like Rob as a character. I think he's great, and I love that King of the North moment. But I do think there is a thing, even from season 1, even if like maybe the storyline isn't telling you of how they build up Jon and Daenerys as being the two most important people in this story, and they do it in sometimes quite subtle ways. They focus on them quite a lot, and obviously it becomes their story, so we want to focus on them. So even though you think, oh, he's the main guy, he's the king, but really, he's not that important ultimately.
Going to spring a big question on you both now.
Okay.
Season 1 is whose story? IYHO's. In your honest opinions.
IYHO?
Well, you know you're IMHO.
Oh, right, okay.
Just trying to sort of push that out.
It's presented as Ned's. And it's not Ned's story, obviously, because he dies.
You can die in your own story. Have you read the Bible? Dude dies in that.
I think it's mostly Dany's. If anyone's.
If anyone's Dany's
I'd say
story.
Dany's, because she has a very strong, clear arc throughout of going from this vulnerable girl who she's got this horrible brother. She's been sold off into like slavery, basically, almost.
Yeah.
She's being raped, and then she kind of takes command of her own life. She takes her agency. She takes control of the Dothraki. She has the dragons. Steps out of the fire. That's like the big ending moment. So I think that makes it hers.
Top that.
And the only name that popped in my head as whose story it could be is Joffrey's, because he goes from being this king in waiting, this guy who, you know, is establishing himself and getting to know Ned's children and what have you, and he has the clashes with Arya, of course, to suddenly at the end going from a bit part player that just does as his mother tells him to immediately taking control. You know, Cersei's there saying, if you apologise, this is, you'll be forgiven and what have you. We'll send you to the wall, etc., etc., etc. And Joffrey just seizes that moment and says, "Oh, they asked me to do this, but I'm better than them. I'm the king now. I run this place." Cut his head off.
It's kind of interesting to see him go from that. I think it might be the first episode where he just gets bullied by the butchers, where he falls over and ends up having some kid lanced for his trouble, to then being the man who effectively instigates the war that defines the next two series of the show. I say man, the pube. He's I wouldn't go so far as to say it's his story, but he probably goes from 0 to 60 the most in that season. I think he's the one whose importance by the end is so much greater than his importance at the start.
He's definitely the one rewatching it where the most visceral response with everything he did with the butcher's boys you mentioned there to obviously killing Ned off. He's the one where I had to sit there and go, he's going to die. Just remember, he's going to have a really horrible, horrific death, Adam. Just get through this.
Was there, I'm going to go to the bookman here. Oh, no. Was there anything in season 1 that we missed that was in the books? Anything they majorly left out?
Not really, no, actually. Season 1 is the most faithful to the books.
Is that a fact?
They kind of they divert a little bit each season upon season until they get sort of seasons 4 and 5, and that's when they start really kind of starting to do their own things, 5 especially. There's certain character like Roz is kind of mostly a show invention. There's mention of a red-haired prostitute, but she doesn't really have a role. And then obviously in the show she's very important for the sex position of season 1. Nice. So there's little things like that. Certain characters that are cut out who aren't maybe that important, or certain storylines that are sped up or shortened, stuff like that. But in terms of the overall plot, it's very much follows it. I
just remember, you asked me earlier something that you forgot happened in season 1 until you rewatched it. You forget until you rewatch it just how close Ned is to leaving King's Landing.
Yeah.
He's about to leave, and then Littlefinger
talks him out.
Well, not even talks him out of him. Talks him into staying just that little while longer.
I thought you were going to say you forget how much shagging was in the early seasons.
There's a lot,
because the kind of phase as it's become a much bigger deal. As you say, there's not really much sex position now.
But season 1
that's all there is.
Yeah.
Well, we need to
sort of introduce half the characters.
Yeah.
And there's certain episodes where it just goes from one sex scene to the next sex scene. It's so weird.
Is that bad? Is that bad storytelling, or are we all just horn dogs that miss it?
I think you kind of need it to establish like Tyrion, because that's the one dimension of his character that you get introduced to, and then it obviously evolves, and you see him being arguably the best Lannister or the best,
the top shagger,
top shagger indeed. But you can arguably see it, because if you're going to try and sell it to a casual TV fan, like. It's a fantasy thing. People might turn their nose up at it. But don't worry, there's loads of death and shagging.
Bucks and wenches.
That's it.
And gore. Yeah. Okay, cool.
That's like, I think I had it sold to me as Lord of the Rings, but with like sex and more violence.
That's literally how you sold it to me as well.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm in.
Sounds good.
Any chance we're getting that back in season 8?
I don't know if there's time for shagging it.
I think there's only one bit of sex position needed done, and that was at the end of season 7.
Yeah, and that was weird.
It was weird because that's his auntie. For Christ's sake, how many times have I got to say it? It's his auntie.
It was like that Brown was speaking over it.
Oh god.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that bit.
Yeah.
And I still want to get explained how Grey Worm got his end away. I'm still confused by all that.
You never heard "rub one out" as an expression?
Yeah, I suppose.
There you are. Who is your favourite character? We're gonna wrap this up with the easy questions, right? Who is your favourite character in season 1? And if you need to caveat this by telling us who your favourite character is overall, just to like maybe show the difference in your opinion, then feel free.
Okay.
We're gonna start with you.
Oh, with me first. My favourite character overall is probably Pod. I don't know why.
Of course it is.
Pod's such a weird one, because Pod's one I suppose Pod's one where he's one that I really, anytime he's in any danger, I'm like, all right, I realise you might kill Jon Snow, I realise you might kill Dany, these are key characters. I feel like Pod, just let him live, please. When I went to Comic-Con, I got my photo with Pod. Everyone else got their photo with Hodor.
I've seen that, as a photo of you, Pod.
I don't know why.
What
he's not really season 1.
Doesn't Hodor charge more for a photo if the door's in it?
I think it was. When I went to Comic-Con, I think it was. I don't know, so let's say £30 for a photo with Hodor and £40 for a picture with Hodor and the door, which my friend got around by wearing a T-shirt with a door on it.
Nice.
So there you go. Favourite character?
Taking food out of his children's mouth there, isn't he? Anyway, carry on.
He's got his DJ career, he's fine.
DJ!
Favourite character? I suppose because he's just so pure right up until he doesn't exist anymore, it's probably Ned. Because he's just always on the side of right. And then he dies.
Jimmy Jangles?
In season 1, Tyrion. I think for the first 2 or 3 seasons, I think Tyrion is like, he's the man. He's he gets all the best lines. He does all the best stuff. He's the most entertaining. He's a bit like a bad guy, but not totally. He's like really fits that like kind of in the middle approach. And going on now, it's probably Jaime.
Interesting.
But in season
Bronn's my favourite character, and he is good. He is good
Yeah.
in season 1, but I agree with you. I think Tyrion's by far and away the most interesting. Tyrion was the reason that kept me coming back in season 1, because I'll be honest, wasn't immediately sold on it after the first few episodes. Wasn't immediately sold. But I was like, you know what? Some of the dialogue's good in this. I like that little fella. So I keep coming back for that. So I think Tyrion is the... and now I've said my favourite moment in season 1 is the moon door bit. Last question. What is your favourite moment in season 1?
That bit when Tyrion slaps Joffrey.
Oh, yeah. That is great.
Well, he's got it now.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how to top that. Bollocks. The bit where he slaps the taste out of his mouth several times is really enjoyable. Oh, God. How on earth do I top that? I think just King of the North. I think
that's a lovely moment.
The bit where they all join forces, and I mean, you all know it's going to go wrong eventually, but you're like, well, this is nice for the time being.
So King of the North, slapping the taste out of his mouth. He did. I think that's a nice spread.
Yeah.
I think you forget how good season 1 was, to be honest, because the show has improved in quality. Fairly consistently, I think. I mean, people are maybe a little bit iffy about season 7, but I think by and large, the arc's been fairly good.
Faffing about in Dorm, I don't really like
that. I would say season 1 it's better than 2 for me.
Oh, well, we'll discuss that next week.
Yeah.
Probably. Let us know what your favourite moment was. Favourite character, favourite moment, everything you thought about season 1. Because obviously, everybody's recap watching it now, aren't we? We're all getting up to date with it because it's in 8 weeks' time. James, the date, please.
April 14th in the States, so we'll get it on the 15th.
Well, you'll get Game of Thrones ups and downs on the 15th, I'll tell you that much.
How many episodes do we get? 6?
6.
And they're all 4 hours, 5 hours long?
Yeah, it's like 10 hours long each.
They are officially at least, the shortest ones are an hour, aren't they?
Looks like they haven't really confirmed it. There's like some released stuff, but nothing like official of.
Some are going to be upwards of.
There'll probably be some like 80 to 90 minutes ish.
Wow. So we're basically just going to get 6 films to see us home on TV, 1 a week.
Not bad, is it?
That's, yeah, I mean, look, I'm actually trembling excited. Anyway, let us know your favourite moments, favourite characters, anything you noticed about Season 1, as well as how excited you are for Season 8 in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching the first Got Culture in a good long time,
too long.
I think. But yeah, you're going to be loads of these now because it's so soon. In the meantime, though, what to get you on Twitter?
At Adam Wilbourn.
At James Hunt 182.
At Adam Clery, Clery. And you get us all at What Culture GOT. But in the meantime, though, again, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you soon. Any Game of Thrones puns we can do on the goodbye bit? Anyone?
Just say winter is coming.
It is.
Yeah.
We're not, because we're going now. There you go. Bye.
There's no cure for being a